Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hey, well, this is my journey part two. Just talking about the breakdown in my marriage, how I went from being a Christian to being an Israelite. I talked about the two foundations that Jesus talked about building a house, either on the house of sand or on the rock, which is the Word of God. So anyway, I'm going to try to do this in 10 minutes and try. I went a little bit over last time. But anyway, just wanted to show you, I'm in my office right now. And in my office, I have the U.S. Constitution. And I love history. I was really into just learning about our American history, which eventually, because of my love for the Word of God, start seeing that, man, that's a history book. And then start getting into American history just to figure out what happened in our country, the history of my family, So anyway, this is why I have it. Things may be changing because of my understanding of just a lot of things. But anyway, this is a picture of the Constitution in my office. I even got the Emancipation, the Declaration of Independence, actually the Declaration of Independence right here in my office. And then I said I was going to show you my office. I told you I wasn't joking. This is my office. That is a replica of the Resolute, one that Donald Trump would have in his office. But this is not the original, this is a replica. And this is my office. It kind of has a semi-oval wish to it. So anyway, told you I took my job seriously. I wasn't your typical dad that just kind of just said, okay. I really took my job seriously. I served my family for 16 years. And, and just like every good president, it comes to an end. And mine has come to an end with my previous wife, or my wife, soon to be ex. But I just want to share the story. So anyway, I just wanted to show you right here, and I know it's hard for you to see, but if you can, and I know there's a glare on there, but if you could see here, this is the Article 1. This is all of Article 1. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it. This is all Article 1. This is the role of Congress. And then you got Article 2, which is the powers of the president. And then you got Article 3, which is this short right here, is Article 3. And then you got Article 2, which is the president. And then you got Article 1. That's all of that is Article 1. And so anyway, I was just describing to you how I ran my family. My family, I looked at it as I was the president of my home. My wife was Congress. And I guess, when the laws get into it, you got the judge. And they're in there too. So anyway, we had three branches of government operating mostly on 1 and 2 government. But from the outside people, when they saw our marriage, like I said, you would say that I was the head of my home and that my wife was a submitted woman. Not that you could see that, but because we had 7 kids, you just may have assumed that she's just a submitted woman. The only person that can really determine that is the person she's submitted to. But I couldn't say that wholeheartedly, but that's just whatever. But anyway, so if you think about the government, the United States government, and how it works, it was meant to be, on the founding fathers of this nation, it was meant to be a republic, meaning that it wasn't a monarchy. It wasn't. It was true. It was really for the people, by the people, and that's how this country works. So the president. So the roles of the Congress is to basically come up with the laws. They come up with the laws. Once they have a bill, then eventually the president has the ability to sign it into law if he agrees with it or not. But he has to work with Congress. And Congress can actually make laws without the president. All they have to do is get 2/3, I believe. Don't quote me on it, but I believe if they got 2/3, they can turn a bill into a law. So there's things that they can do. The president, out of all the branches, is the only one that has the ability to actually enforce any of the law. So whatever law Congress comes up with, at the end of the day, the president is the one that is the only one that can actually enforce the law. There is one aspect that Congress can do something. They can, declare war. But I'm just trying to give you the basics. I'm not trying to confuse you with all of the different things. So that's kind of how I look at things. There may have been some things that my wife wanted to do, but at the end of the day, I am the one that had the ability to enforce the law. She didn't. She could come up with bills. She can put it on my desk. I will sign it, and I'm talking analogies, but egalitarian. Oh man, I can't think of it. Forgive me. But anyway, but she will put it on my desk, and I can sign it into law, and then I can enforce it. And she will probably put pressure on me to, to enforce something that we agreed that we were going to do. So anyway, that's kind of how we ran our marriage. And so when you think of how a marriage is, God did not design marriage to be a republic. It was meant to be a patriarch. And we ran it like a republic. And instead of me serving Jesus Christ, my head, I was basically unknowingly, it was a good concept, trying to, take this thing seriously, but I was actually serving my wife, and I was basically serving her on her behalf. And just like the President of the United States is for the people, he works for the people. I was working for my wife, and doing my wife's bidding instead of doing Jesus' bidding. And so, but on the outside, when people see our family, they would have saw a patriarch. That's how they would have viewed our family, that it was a patriarch. And I'll say overtly, we look like a patriarch family, but covertly, we were actually a matriarch, meaning that the woman was she ruled. And just like Congress, I don't know if you guys know, this is a term that Congress use, is that even though the president has the ability to enforce laws, Congress holds the purse. Isn't that interesting? They hold the purse. So they can stop the president by stopping funding because they control the money. And so just like in my situation, because I got a marriage license and because of the situation, my wife has the ability to hold the purse, I guess, for lack of a better word, by, leaving me, filing for legal separation, for divorcing me. She can do things to stop the government from working. And that's kind of what she did. She basically stopped our family from functioning the way it functioned. We had routines as a family. There's things that we did as a family, as the head of home. We had dinner together. I had regular weekly Bible studies with my children. I took my job very seriously in watering them with the Word of God, trying to impress this on my children as they wake up, as they lie down, as they get up, as they walk along the road, according to Deuteronomy, to impress the Word of God on them. These are things that we would do. And so basically, when my wife took off on July 19th, she basically stopped the government, just like you hear a freeze. They're going to freeze the government. And so that's kind of what my wife did. But during this time, I made a decision. Like I told you, we were talking about image of God. We were talking about head covers. And during that process, I came along a ministry called, obviously Straightway Ministry, Pastor Charles Dow. And there I kind of ran into him. Not that I was, I was trying to find somebody that was a little bit pleasing in my wife's ear, because I was trying to get this to Congress. And Pastor Dow was not going to be a good fit for my goals at that time. But there was something about Pastor Dow that I like. I like the fact that he just seemed like an honest man. He told the truth. He didn't really care about if he offended you or not. Not that he was trying to offend you, but he told you the truth. And for me, you got to understand that, because I'm a celebrity, because, I'm a public figure, I do have a lot of people that befriend me, and it's kind of hard to tell who's your friend, who really cares. And, a lot of times they tell you what you want to hear, and unfortunately, I can tell myself that, I'm very good at telling myself what I hear. If you notice, I try to surround myself with people who I know has the ability to tell me what I need to hear and not what I want to hear. I don't need yes people around me. I need people to tell me basically when my shit stinks, So, but anyway, so Pastor Dow, obviously, I'm about to go over my 10-minute mark, but Pastor Dow, because I'm digressing, but Pastor Dow basically showed me that he's that kind of guy. So it just made me interested to see more of what he had to say. So anyway, we went in and he was talking about the Sabbath. And so I looked into the Sabbath and I said, man, I really want, I started looking through all his videos. I think he had 10 parts to Sabbath and you had to continue watching. I sat there and watched it all in one setting. And I was convinced that the Sabbath day was meant for a particular day of the week, the seventh day, and that it was still for today. It's part of the 10 Commandments. And so I tried to implement that in my family ASAP, as soon as I could do it. I think it was that day or the following week. But whatever the case is, I implemented it as quickly as I could. And so, like I said, me and my wife was already having some tension in our marriage. Another aspect of like it, obviously, Pastor Dow was talking about polygyny. At that time, I already believed that polygyny was not a sin. I didn't even know it was called polygyny. I would have called it polygamy or a man having multiple wives. But regardless of that stuff, I already believed that. And to hear a man who has pastor in front of his name saying that polygyny is not a sin was another thing that interested me. And not that I had any interest of practicing polygyny. I do come from a polygynous heritage. My dad being a Muslim, his mom was one of 4 wives. She was actually the 4th wife. So I wouldn't be here if polygyny didn't exist or if it was bad. But who says that I should be here? But I'm just telling you, I was here. Jesus wouldn't have made it through. He came through Bathsheba. She was the 5th wife of King David. Obviously, Bathsheba had Solomon, and I'm just saying. And then you have the tribe of Israel that came from multiple wives. But anyway, long story short, what convinced me, obviously, is the fact that God told David that if, when he had an affair with Bathsheba, that if that wasn't enough, I would have given you more. So anyway, that was good for me. But when I talk to Christian pastors, they all just flat out just lied and say, it's a sin, it's a sin. And so to hear Pastor Dow actually admit that polygyny is not a sin, it made me want to see more of what he had to say, because if he was willing to speak that truth, knowing knowing that he was going to get pushed back or have people leave his church, and obviously now that I know Pastor Dow, know how he operates, he really doesn't give a damn if you leave his church or not. All he wants to do is serve the Most High. So anyway, I ended up going in. So what got me into the front door is the very thing that kept people out. And so the first thing that Pastor Dow actually convinced me of is that we should keep the Sabbath day holy according to the scripture. And so I made a decision as a family that this is what we're going to do. And like I said, wife being considered Congress, she just highly disagreed that we make that trip. I made a call to Straightway Ministry, asked if we can visit. I would like to see how you guys observe the Sabbath. There's no one I can talk to here locally who observed the Sabbath. And I want to know how you guys do it. It's okay if me and my family can come down there and visit. And so Pastor Dow was so gracious to allow me and my family to come down and visit. And so I told my wife, she really was trying to, filibuster the process, and was trying to get everybody. Everybody was lobbying or trying to convince me not to go, wait, do it later. And this is where I started to use my executive order. I was not going to wait for Congress to give me the approval to go and check something out that was for the Most High. And I would tell you what gave me that conviction more so at this time. Obviously, I'm out of time, but I hope you come back for part 3 because in that one, you're going to see what gave me that strong conviction to oppose my wife and to use the executive order, which is a presidential right. In my mindset, that's what I was using. And she was using her filibuster and doing all the stuff to delay. And I was I'm the one that had the ability to enforce the law. And as the head of the House, I said, we're going to go down there. And so we went at it. And so she's using her powers, I'm using my powers. But all of this stuff, I want to end on this note. All of this stuff, the breakdown of my marriage, once again, I take full responsibility for my part. A wise woman, and I'll let the cat out of the bag, told me this stuff. Sister Carol, Pastor Dow's wife, told me, but you allowed it to happen, and she's right. I allowed it to happen, even out of ignorance. I am responsible. My wife is responsible for her part. Everybody's going to have to stand before the Most High. But now that I know the truth, I'm repentant, and now I'm trying to do what's right. So anyway, I hope you come back for my journey part 3. But until then, I'll have to say goodbye and shalom, shalom.